You whiffed, dude, and you know it, and we know it, and you look insane. So, like, you cannot get a compliment. Just, like, enjoy your night, get drunk, and forget you chose that outfit.
It's time to take a therapeutic dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
Hello, I'm Ramona Ramirez Higgins. I'm sorry.
Doing your level best, dude. Just doing
I
your
should
level
try
best.
harder to get it up. I'm over it. I feel like I'm getting sick. It's like I'm hot, but I'm cold. I'm very irritable. I had the kind of morning I did not want to have. I was stuck in a impenetrable anxiety loop all week, just catatonic, as I'm sure a lot of people have been. Just full of fucking fear. I'm just scared. I'm scared and I'm anxious. I'm afraid. That's it. And I'm not feeling well. And both of those things.
Yeah. I just keep trying to remind myself, like, nothing's wrong just because I don't feel great all the time. Like we've talked about that a bunch on this podcast before. It's just like, I think part of the reason I developed like an eating disorder and other weird addictive behaviors is because I didn't want to ever feel uncomfortable because it never feels like it's going to pass. And so I think it's just important to like acknowledge that it's happening. And sometimes when I just put words on it, it takes some of the pressure off of it. It's not a secret anymore. There's less shame about it. It's like, I'm just scared, period. That's it. I'm scared and I'm exhausted. And so I'm not like peak Margie today. Nobody can be peak anybody all days, you know?
You're right. I'm
I
really
think.
glad you said that. I'm really glad you reminded me of that. Everything. Wait. I'm sorry. Repeat it. I loved it.
Oh God, I have no idea.
No, you said
You'll
I
have
don't
to
have to
listen to it
feel.
back.
I don't have hilarious. I don't have to feel just because I feel bad. Something about nothing being wrong. If I feel bad or I feel.
Yeah, I remind myself all the time, like, just because I don't feel great, it doesn't mean that something is the matter with me or with the world at large. It's just like, I'm having a bad day. I allow for the dog to have a bad day. Like sometimes I'm like, come here. And she's just like, ugh, moody. And I don't go like, well, fuck that dog. That dog sucks. It's like, no, that dog is just like not in the fucking mood right now. It would rather sit in the sun or, it's fine. And I think nothing of it. And the dog always comes back around. And I have so many decades of life experience that prove to me that I always come back around. And yet each time I dip into a valley, I'm just like, and I live here now. This is it. This is how it will always be. And you know what? This is probably how it always has been. You were fooling yourself when you were happy. It's like, oh my God. It's such, that's that like addicty black and white thinking. Life on life's terms is a real tricky proposition, and I have notes for the human condition. I think this is a stupid design in a lot of ways. We're so fragile. We feel so deeply, be so much easier just to be happy all the time. But I don't know anyone who is, and I certainly don't know anyone I like who is. It's
Very
like
good point.
Julia in this episode, like pretending everything's fine now. And Martina was just like, it sucks. They're pissed. I was like, yeah, faking fineness is, it doesn't make everything fine. It just makes it fake.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can. No, that's not true. I do it. I mask. I do because I don't want to have to explain where I'm at, and also, like I volunteered at Leo's school this week to help out with picture day. And even though on the inside, I was like, if someone looks at me wrong, I'm going to burst into tears. And how the fuck am I going to explain that? So I just had to like grit my teeth and bear it for 2 hours. And things shifted by the time I was done. But yeah, and to what you said earlier about how it never lasts, I broke out of the terror loop. I think I had respite for like 24 hours, and then it just kicked back in. And I still feel right now like if I wasn't doing this right now, I would just go upstairs and just fucking bawl my eyes out or just want to take a baseball bat to the AstroTurf outside, which I can probably still do later. You know, it's a take a bat to the AstroTurf kind of a timeline we're in. Oh, God. You know, it's just like when I don't feel resourced and then you've heard me talk about it a million times. I don't have to go off on it. I have a hard time with myself having a hard time. Then my hard time persists. And why can't I get it through my head that if I just go, I'm having a hard time, why can't you know what I need to do? I need the guest house made on wallpaper.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't escape it. You know what? I need to put that inside of my booth. I need to tattoo it to the back of my eyeballs. Back of my eyelids? Yes.
Yeah.
Back of my eyeballs not going to
Sure,
do anybody
there
any good.
too. I don't know how the optic nerve works. Maybe it'll project it onto
Oh
your
my
eyeballs.
God.
Who knows? For anyone who doesn't know, Ramona is referring to the Rumi poem, The Guest House, where basically it just talks about like celebrating and welcoming everything in, even the most destructive feelings and forces. It's like, hey, you're here. This is, you are welcome here. Like you bring them in how you would want to be brought in anywhere. It's something to aspire to. I don't know that I've ever achieved that feeling. Certainly not my first instinct, but
Hell no.
it's
Hell
the whole
no.
point is like, it's pointless to fight these things. For me to be like, you don't have time to be sad. It's like, but you're sad. So like either you don't have time for it and then you're like a bitch to everyone else in your life. I totally related to Lisa Hochstein, Jody calling her out on being like, you can go through shit, but you can't be mean to me. Like I've certainly tried to not go through my shit and it comes out on the people closest to me who I love the most. Ew.
Oh my
So,
God. I know. I
yeah.
literally it was maybe after we even hit record that I texted my husband upstairs and I was like, I'm sorry. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I watched the episode like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 times. And when I watched it with him and it was that scene with Jody and Lisa, I was like, I think you're going to want to watch this. I think you're going to want to watch it. I cannot believe I'm saying this for in perpetuity or until this podcast gets taken down off the internets forever. Who knows? I don't know how that works. That I, again, for 3 episodes in a row, Jody and Lisa are the touchstones of relationship goals in this realm, in this franchise, in
No, but
this arena.
I honestly think objectively that conversation they had was, I think any therapist would stand on their chair and applaud. I really loved his language when he was like, "Can I tell you what would help me?" As opposed to saying like, "What I need you to do is get you some books and go to it's like, "Can I tell you what would help me?" And then when he said it doesn't work for me, like, I don't care if people go through hard times. I care if you're going through a hard time and you take it out on me. And Lisa's answer was, I'm sorry. And it was sincere. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like therapists across the globe were applauding because everyone stayed present for that really difficult conversation and it ended so beautifully. That's like the good parts of the hard parts of being in a relationship. When you get to the other side of an argument like that or an uncomfortable conversation like that. It was so sweet. I don't like Jody or Lisa particularly, but I was so happy to see them like embrace and kiss. And I was like, oh, I root for them. I hope they go the distance. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, when I can look at myself, courtesy of a conversation that Lisa and Jody are having, it's interesting. It's why we do this podcast for sure. This is the lens in which I watch Bravo, in which you watch Bravo. And I didn't feel shame. I think it can only help people like, oh, I'm not alone. Because I might not have just like stood blocking a doorway or whatever Jody said that Lisa does when she's dysregulated. But I've done my brand of get out of the door. I need to move. What are you doing? You know, I did that literally 20 minutes ago, half hour ago.
And I think that's what Jody was trying to
Jesus.
express is like, your shit is coming out in these insidious sideways ways. It's not a direct attack. It's not a fuck you, Jody. It's like,
Yes,
you're driving too
exactly.
slow. You're in my way. Ugh. It's like, oh, I think this anger is not about me. Cause
Never.
like, I don't think you'd normally I think normally you'd just say, excuse me if I'm in your way, as opposed to like, ugh, like, and I love Lisa for being so aware of like, I don't mean to be angry. I don't want to be like this. She said like this divorce has changed me And that must be so scary to be like, who the fuck am I that I'm capable of being this mad? Oh my God. And taking it out on someone I actually love. Yikes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
clearly she's doing and has done work, you know? I'm so impressed with her. I'm
I
so
never
happy
in
to
a
hear
million
you
years
see it
thought,
because sometimes I'm watching the show and I'm like, am I delusional? Am I just sitting
no,
here like in the dark creating stories about how Lisa Hochstein is okay?
no. I mean,
She's
come on.
okay.
I have my story about her, and parts of it might be true.
Yes.
But, at the beginning of the season, we have that narcissist party, and I'm just like, dude, I'm going to vote with my red flag and put it in Lisa's vase too. Like, never in a million years questioned me, like, pigeonholing her exactly how everyone else did. Also, I spotted I got it. I have to work very hard not to be late, but I do work very hard not to be late, and I'm not perfect. Whatever, you know what I'm saying, but
Well, and so does Lisa. Like she's showing us that. And like I do kind of love, again, the editors have made such a huge deal about her being the first to arrive these past couple weeks. And this week she was the last to arrive at Art Basel and they were just like, and Lisa arrived. And I was like, you guys.
dude, it's a party, right? Come
Right.
on.
No, it's totally fine. And also those stairs. Did you notice that staircase? The stairs
Uh
up to Adriana's party at Art Basel made me want to pass away.
I
They,
vaguely.
they had to do a drone shot to capture all of them. Like I was shocked. And maybe I'm sure there must have been an elevator. You can't walk down that many stairs when you're drunk at the end of the night. That's
Oh God,
crazy.
and massive platform Yves
Good
Saint Laurent
Lord.
shoes, right?
Yeah.
I also have to acknowledge that I don't know how much editing had to play in the way her arc is ending. But we have narcissist party Lisa to relationship goals Lisa, and I just never ever thought I never saw it coming. And I want to acknowledge that that must mean some parts of me are open to seeing things in a non-black and white way and to being changed by watching behavior. Again, I know I'm watching a show. All I can say is what we're given is what I'm seeing. I'm not talking about behind the scenes or in her personal life. I'm just saying what we are watching on this show.
We're at the part of the season where like the reality part of the reality TV kicks in, like that conversation between Julia and Martina, where Julia tried to steer it a certain way for the cameras, and Martina was like, no. And even Jody before his dinner with Lisa, when he comes into the kitchen and the kids are like relaxed around him. Like you can't fake that, you know?
No,
And he was so cute. He's like, that's hamachi. You want to try it? That's the normal stuff that isn't like, oh, I'm aware of the camera and now I perform. That was just a guy walking into a kitchen, seeing some kids staring at raw fish and being like, you curious? Have a bite, you know? I thought it was sweet.
can I tell you a little teeny tiny microscopic, well, I guess maybe not microscopic enough because I'm bringing it up
Yeah.
about that scene, little shame secret. So when Lisa turns around to say, bye, kids, and she's kind of like a little bit like gleeful about it, I was like, oh, I've said goodbye with that energy. And it doesn't mean I don't love my kid. It's just that's not the mom energy that's typically maybe on a sitcom about some shitty mom who's like, wine mom or whatever, but like regular life. Sometimes I'm like, okay, going on a girls' trip. See ya,
Listen, I try to remind all of my friends who are moms, it goes both ways. Sometimes your kid
You're
is like,
right.
bye. Ah. Like sometimes you're just two people who've had an ass load of each other and could use an hour or two apart, you know?
You're
And
right. You're
sometimes
right.
those times align and sometimes there's
Mm.
tears on one side or the other, but like it doesn't mean there's any less love. At least you're not Larsa, who's like, oh yeah, my kids live in LA and I'm not parenting them ever. And I bought a gigantic house that I live in alone for my boyfriend who's the same age as my son. Anyways, what's next? I was like,
I can see that. I just figured that they were living with Scotty, and I'm sure she goes to LA a lot.
maybe, but I don't know. It sure does seem like a big old shrug on parenting. She's just like, yeah, she has 2 more years of high school. They're on autopilot. I'm like, oh, the last 2 years of high school for a girl are autopilot. Let me tell you, Larsa, like she could use a mom in her orbit,
Ay, ay,
but what do
ay.
I know? I don't know
God.
anything. Maybe they are on autopilot. Maybe they're better not being around her. I don't know, but she was real casual, just dropping that bomb of like, yeah, I bought a $6 million house, and no, my children will not be in it because they're 3,000 miles away. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
The circumstances are fine. It was just the very casual way that she brought
I
that
see what
up.
you're saying.
It's
Yeah.
not a huge deal. When I went to summer camp for 8 weeks, my mom was like, here's all the things you need to know. And then she
Oh.
came up, you know what I mean? She came up on week 7 because there was a parents visiting opportunity, and like, you know, and Larsa's just like unbothered.
She's so annoying. She's so unbothered. When she's filming the delivery of the like gummy bear holding up the, I don't know,
Prison
the
intake
the
sign or
jail,
whatever. Yeah.
right, the booking thing. I was like, so she's talking in one way, and then she's like, and this is my art. And I'm like, dude, you suck so bad. No, never mind. I'm not fucking
Listen.
perfect, dude.
Nobody is. We're not perfect. That's the thing. Like, I spotted, I got it. If I'm calling out Larsa for her absentee behavior, I guarantee you there's some area in my life where I could be a little more present for the people who need or love me. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
whatever.
Well, since we've already talked about half the episode, shall we
Sorry.
go in earnest? No,
Let's check it out in order now.
Oh, you know what? Just real quick, I did watch the after show because, again, I like how it fills in some context. And Stephanie and Larsa are their talking heads are together. They're on the same soundstage being recorded at the same time. So Stephanie, this is the kind of friend that you get with Stephanie. She's like, she tells the producers, can I just throw Larsa under the bus? And, you know, she says it with that little like gleeful, devilish tone that she finds so charming. And she's like, Larsa said her house was going to be done. And I walked in and it was not going to be done. Like, okay, really? Really? Well, she's finishing her house, A. B, like that, I would never, A, I don't think I would ever throw someone under the bus intentionally. And I would never say, can I throw my alleged best friend under the bus? And then she went on to rationalize it that when developers build a house, it's different than when normal people build a house. So basically what she was saying is that, yes, my and Masood's house is not finished yet, but that's because I'm a developer.
But didn't theirs goes into foreclosure?
It did. So it's
Closure or
not,
something?
it
Okay.
didn't finish, and I think it was already sold. So, you know, the closet she showed us that she's
Yeah.
building? I don't know if she mentioned this on the regular show or just the after show. It's a little over 1,000 square feet. That's oligarch closet size. Does an oligarch have a closet that's a little over 1,000 square feet? That is your own boutique.
Mm.
Whew. Anyway, I don't know. I just found it. I had opinions about it. I'll leave it at that.
It's a lot of space. It just feels like there'd be so much walking to get anywhere you want to go. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Sometimes it's like, even just to get from one end of the closet to another, it's like you're going to get some steps in.
I'd love a walk-in closet. I'd love
I
a
would
walk-in
too. When you
closet.
framed it as a boutique, I was like, oh, I
Right.
would love to walk into something organized like that. That would
Yeah,
be great.
but I also want to feel like cocooned by it. You know, I'd like to have a place to pack my suitcase. I'd love a surface to put shit out. I'd love a place to have a chair so I could sit in there and look at my shit. You know, like I would like lots of things about it to be a comforting space just for me. No one else gets to go in. Unless you have explicit permission.
Mhm.
But over 1,000 just feels like, just because you can, should you? You know?
I feel like they're in that realm of wealth now where it's like she probably met someone with a 900 square foot closet and she was like, well, if I'm doing this, I'll have the biggest one. You know, it's like, it's not even about practicality or anything you like. At a certain point, it's just like, mine was the biggest, it was the most expensive, and my makeup's going to get all over my suede drawers. So
I don't know. Like Tilly is not, she probably doesn't have over 1,000 square foot closet. She might have like a couple of rooms. I would love to see photos of where Jennifer Tilly stores her clothes, shoes, accessories, luggage, jewelry. Oh, I would love it. But I don't think
Yeah.
I would find inspiration, comfort, or even like wonder. Like, oh, sometimes when I see someone's like ensuite bathroom or their walk-in closet, I'm like, oh, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I like it here. I don't think that I would like it there. I don't think that I would like her walk-in closet. Jesus Christ. This is The Real Housewives of Miami. Season 7, episode 16, titled The Art of Arguing. Margie, thank you for taking notes for this episode. I appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Well, and since we're talking about Larsa, we start with Larsa, who's packing up her condo to make a move, and her assistant Claudia is moving these like gigantic posters of her in various bikinis and sports bras and posing, with her booty out and everything. I was just like, oh my God, definitely take those to the new place. Like, what?
Maybe it was for a Larsa Pippen meet and greet or something. Does she go to a con? Is there an OnlyFans con and she's got a booth?
Maybe. Yeah, or maybe she like signs them and sends them. I don't know, but they were gigantic. They were huge
massive. They were life
posters,
size,
so
if not
whatever.
bigger. Yes, yes.
Then we see Jody and Lisa taking a walk in the wind, and it was like really cute. They seemed to really enjoy each other's company and have fun together. And I was like happy to see that because we've certainly seen like AC Jody at a party. And I was like, are these two just like partiers who, but they seem to really have a nice time walking in the wind. I thought it was real cute.
And then 3 days before Art. See, now I'm paranoid. I'm going to say basil, but it's basil.
Yes.
Basil. I know this. See, but it's like being
It's
right
not
up.
an herb.
That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
She explains that Art Basel is one of the biggest international contemporary art festivals in the world. Yes, yes. The women explain in confessionals that people come to Miami from all over the world to see and buy art and to dress up and hear music and to party for the week. Yeah, it looks too overwhelming for me.
It looks overwhelming unless I was like on the top of every guest list, you know what I mean? And I could just walk into a party. But if I had to navigate that shit as like a lay person, I think I'd have a hard time.
Yeah,
But I do love art.
I do
would
too.
love to go to all the galleries. I don't even know if I'd need a party. I'd be really interested in.
That's the thing. I think if I was to stay away from the Miami Housewives Art Basel, God, what are those? What is that? What is that event space called? You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to try to remember what that one event space is in Miami that I would probably gravitate towards as opposed to this. Who gives a shit? Oh my God, Margie, let's move on.
No, I like, look, I get, there's like a small version, very small scale version. Los Angeles's Art Basel is called the Freeze Fest. And I've gone every year that I can, and I love it. And it's totally overwhelming because it's completely crowded. But this looks like it's spread out over the whole city. It's almost like New York Fashion Week for art, and I would love that. So I feel like event-wise, I'd love it, and party-wise, I'd be intimidated and overwhelmed. So maybe I'll just go see some Whizbee gummy bear sculptures, which I do like. I think they're fascinating. And this is where I love art. I love that he's like a huge, rich artist because he makes like gigantic, colorful gummy bears. I fucking love that. And Adriana is apparently, she loves art too. She's been in the art world for over 20 years. She's supported artists from all over the world, including Martina. I didn't realize that Adriana was the one who had arranged for Martina to do those showings of
I forgot about that.
pieces of, clay court from the first court she ever played on in the Czech Republic. I thought it was an interesting showing, Maybe if I had a ton of money and a ton of space, I'd buy one because that is kind of a cool piece of history. And it had footprints on it and the little balls stuck to it. Like, it was cool. I love tennis. I don't know. And then we hear the name Chris Rivers, which if this was a drinking game, everyone would be dead from alcohol poisoning by the end of this episode. Adriana says the name Chris Rivers 10,000 times. It's a British artist that she's sponsoring at Art Basel this year. And this is his first mention. And then brace yourself because once we get to that party, it's just Chris Rivers Central.
And then we pivot to Kiki's photo shoot. Her dad, Larest, has come to see her on set for the first time ever. And we're reminded that he kicked her out on the street when she was in high school because she was modeling. My niece is about to turn 16. And I turned to Josh and I was like, can you imagine if she was just kicked out of the house? Like when I was a teenager, I felt so much older. But now seeing from the vantage point of being a middle-aged adult and I see teenagers, I'm like, they are fucking children. They are children with deeper voices and, I don't know, Brandy Melville clothes on. I don't know. Like but they're children. They're children. It breaks my heart. You can tell that her dad is visibly proud of her. And Kiki's beaming, she's very, very happy in this moment. And she's experiencing healing. He tells her that she looks beautiful and takes photos on his phone during her shoot. And she explains to him, like, this is what I've been trying to tell you all along. It's just taking pictures in fancy-ass clothes, holding expensive-ass shit. That's modeling.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that is, a deep wound to be kicked out on the street at age 16 and to come this far for both of them. Like, I imagine he feels some guilt and shame for his actions, and it must take a lot for both of them to really be in a place where they can smile and enjoy each other's company in a moment like that. And I was glad that they did. It made me happy.
Me too.
For them.
Me too. Ay, ay, ay. So then we go to Larsa's new house, and she's in a PJ short set for her PJ party with Alexia and Stephanie, which I don't know if we ever saw more
flat.
PJs. That was so flat.
Alexia was wearing PJs, but also with heels and a matching
with heels,
bag.
And it was also like it was tailored within an inch of its life in the back.
Yes, and full cleavage with a big old bra. Like, come on.
God forbid you wear oversized pajamas, even if they're silk. God forbid. God forbid. Whatever. It takes all kinds. So she is in the backyard, revealing a giant green gummy bear holding a booking sign by famed artist Whizbee, who is there to deliver it in person.
That was impressive.
My main takeaway from this scene is that the tone of voice, the way she was, the pitch, the tone, the volume, when she was speaking with Whizbee was markedly different than the one she turned on. Hey, everyone, look at this. Look at this new gummy bear by Whizbee in my backyard. And I'm like, dude, I just can't. This is why I don't like this person. How exhausting. How exhausting to change the way you talk. For social media. Oh my God. These are your priorities?
She's just been changing how she looks and talks and behaves. Like, her whole life has been one long evolution of like inauthentic changes. Her work is so intense. Like, her face and body work is so intense. It's like, it's not even human anymore. She's so extreme. It's cartoonish, including her voice. And I think, it was very noticeable.
If anyone out there has not watched the early seasons of Miami, I implore you, just to see the transformation of Larsa Pippen, I invite you to spend some time watching those early seasons.
Even just the little glimpse of it when they did the side-by-sides of her 2010 house and her 2024 house, I was like, whoa. When she's carrying a baby around on her hip and her profile is unrecognizable, that could be anyone else in the world, but not the Larsa Pippen of today. It's wild. So anyway, she tells us this is her first official night in her new house, but with the exception of the kitchen, the entire house and grounds are still under construction. I do not understand how she is living in that place. If that is the case, that must be a nightmare. And she's sunk $5.7 million into the house so far. So that is her bachelorette pad, her $6 million bachelorette pad. Stephanie arrives. She's brought her pajamas. And then because she's a construction boss, she lets us know this is a job site. I was like, thank you for your industry jargon. Moving on.
God, Stephanie.
Then Alexia shows up in her tailored PJs, and then Larsa tells us this is the first house that she's owned all on her own, and that this is more her vibe. I was like, what is this? This looks so sterile and nothing. Like, I don't know what this vibe is. It just looks like a blank canvas to me, but okay. And then we got those side-by-sides of her in her 2010 house and her in her 2024 house, and they're both gigantic. And in one of them, there are little kids, and in the other one, there are no kids. So to me, I wasn't like, whoa, what a stark contrast. I was just like, what?
Her 2010 house was that similar rich person, Tuscan wood bullshit that, again, in 2010, 2008, when we
popular.
First, Vicki Gunvalson, her house was similarly
Appointed.
outfitted. In in that exact same time. So she's just following trends. Nothing wrong with following trends. I understand. I personally, I don't do that. Like I gravitate towards what I like. So and taste can change. But my point is that with Larsa, I suspect it's just whatever's in trend that she really gravitates towards.
Her vibe is whatever's like popular at the moment.
I mean, her house could go on Selling Sunset. Where's the next season of Selling Sunset? Where is it?
It's got to be underway.
I need it. Even though I don't even like the houses they do on that. I like the Josh Flagg houses. Who cares? No one called for this. Yes, me too.
Is it Josh Flagg? Yes,
Josh Flagg.
Yes. Sorry. Sometimes I get Flagg and
He
Altman.
understands.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
He's saving LA one old Spanish house at a time. Then they all sit down at this teeny tiny table outside that has did you notice the giant sushi boat?
I did.
Okay. It was like a full set piece. It literally looked like it came off the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and like landed on her table filled with sushi that nobody touched.
It made me anxious. I'm like, look at all that food that's going to waste. It just it hurt my heart. Like, oh God. And maybe they ate it. Maybe the crew ate it. Hopefully people ate it.
Larsa literally had her back to it. Like it was not part of the event. It was such a bummer because it was
beautiful. Too sensitive for this episode this
week.
week.
Well, and this is where I got too sensitive. And this is where Larsa casually tells us that her children live in LA. Her son will graduate and move to live with her in Miami. I don't know if I believe her, but her daughter has 2 more years of high school. And both Stephanie and Alexia were the rest of us who were like, what? And Stephanie's like, but she'll have a room here, right? Or, and Larsa was like, oh yeah, sure. Larsa defense of this is saying, I can't be that mom who says you have to come finish high school here. And I was like, no one should be that mom. But it does feel like a mom might go there a lot or all the time even.
If it were me, and I don't want to mom shame. Like being a mom is
I don't mean
fucking
to
hard,
mom
dude.
shame. I'm just saying,
I don't think that you are either.
It's a weird choice to casually deliver. She's saying it to us like, don't you understand? And I'm like, I absolutely do not. I'm happy to hear you out, but like this doesn't make any sense to me.
I would have, had it been me, I would have over-indexed to the nth degree. Like, oh, but I have my condo over there. I have my condo over there in Century City, and I go out as often as I can. And she's out here every 6 weeks or whatever. I would have made sure people understood I wasn't just kicking it, looking at my watch like, I'll see them in 2 years.
And it's fine. I mean, some people have jobs, like some people go on deployment for 6 months at a time. Like some people work 4 days a week traveling, and you know what I mean? Like it's not like it's an untenable situation. It just seems like for Larsa Pippen, whose life is posting pictures of her feet on OnlyFans, which as far as I can tell can be done anywhere. Most parents I know, the last 2 years of high school, they're maybe this isn't healthy either. They're grasping onto their children, being like, oh God, like I don't know who I am when the empty nest years come. And for Larsa to just be like, I don't give a shit. She's got 2 more years. She'll be fine. She's on autopilot. Okay.
Oh yeah, my kids are so well disciplined. It really made my life and my job much easier.
You're not doing your job.
Oh God.
Whatever.
I know.
And then we switch to another tragic relationship of abandonment where Larsa asks Alexia what's going on between her and Todd as the 3-month extension on their divorce filing is almost over. And Larsa just says, Todd's going to bamboozle you. And Alexia goes, right.
I was shocked. I'm still shocked just hearing it, and I can see it playing over and over in my mind.
And she said, I gave him too much power. She's like in full acceptance of like what a mess this is. And in a way, I appreciate that,
At least she's like, yeah, no lies were told.
At least she's not defending it like, no, it's definitely going to work. We're going to work this out. She's just like, yeah, no, we're almost to the end of this. We never talked about it, which I think is insane. And she says, because we didn't talk about it because I just wanted peace. And they both reflect back to her like, you are not at peace. Like this is all anxiety all the time. And then Stephanie, she's such an ass. She goes, just put your foot down. Why don't you set the tone for once? And it's like this coming from a woman who's like, just don't, dude.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that all I have to do? Oh, thanks, Stephanie. You are so wise.
Anyone who says the word just most often can go straight to hell right after with whatever they have to say after. Cause like it's never that simple. Like I was thinking in context of like Alexia's mom died on their wedding day. She doesn't want to be alone. It's not great being middle-aged and striking out on the dating scene. Clearly she and Todd have great chemistry and have great sex because she's always like, tee hee hee, we're having fun. And there's a chemical component to that. So she's probably like a little addicted. I don't know. Just, Stephanie, why don't you just date someone your own age? What if I said that?
Why don't you just work it out with your sisters? Just go ahead and do it.
Exactly.
So Alexius tells us the girls have a right to feel the way that they do. I love them for protecting me and showing me they care so much, but I love him and want to be with him. So I hope we can fix things. I don't know what their current status is right now, but I feel like they're still together. But are they divorced?
I believe they're divorced. And I think he's been on a bit of like a social media tirade against her, to be expected. And it looks like based on the little scenes from next week that her sons are just not going to have this. You can gaslight your friends all you want, but like the people who like share your space and name, it's very hard just to be like, yeah, no, just accept him back, right? And they were like, no, whatever anyone may think of Peter, like I do believe he loves Frankie. And he, in that little scenes coming up thing, was like, no, we're not going to get back in bed with Todd after he traumatized Frankie in that way. So just pass.
What's that meme? The person you hate the most just made a great point, and you're just like, oh God.
Yeah, right.
When Peter and I are agreeing, that's saying something.
And I think that probably touched Alexia in some way because she adores Frankie. She really does. I think partly why she didn't want to talk about it was because then she would have to say, and actually, Todd, you fucked over Frankie so hard. If she had to like really sit in that, she wouldn't be able to stand Todd either. And I think she just didn't want to be alone for a minute. So whatever, who knows?
Oh man, being a human is so complicated.
It is.
It is. So our next scene is Julia prepping for Christmas with Luca and Jackson, and they're packing. I think she was going to mail. Was she mailing care packages, or are they going to be coming?
No, I think she was going to mail these to Emma and Vika. Yeah, because Julia tells us Christmas will be bittersweet this year because they'll have the boys, but their daughters will not be coming. We later learned that maybe the girls might be scheduling visits in January and in the spring, but it all seems very tenuous. And then Julia takes this video of Martina and the boys wearing Christmas glasses that just made me sick to my stomach.
So gross.
She makes them all pose together like Happy Christmas. And then from behind the camera, she's like, do you miss us? We miss you. Come back to us. I was like, don't do that. Oh my God. It's so manipulative and so guilt trippy. And just like, if I was on the receiving end of that, I would be like, you look perfectly happy without me. You're making me feel like I should feel badly for having a strong reaction to you adopting 2 toddlers. And no, you guys do your Christmas on your own and I'll see you when I see it. When you say come back to me, it makes me feel like I've done something to abandon you. If I were one of those girls, my perception would be that the opposite had taken place. You guys did not have our blessing. We asked to have no part of it, and now you're mad at us for having no part of it and not having our blessing. Weird.
Julia is terrifying to me. She's just so scary. She scares the shit out of me.
They shuttle the boys off so Julia and Martina can talk, and that's when we find out that Vika may come in January for Russian Christmas. Again, Julia just trying so hard to be like, she will be here for a Christmas. Not this Christmas, but a Christmas. Our family's fine. And then Emma is mulling over coming on her spring break. And I thought it was nice that Martina said she was happy to see Julia less stressed. And she said, I was worried about it was what it was doing to you more than anything. And I thought that was a nice supportive partner thing to say. But then it all comes unraveled because Julia tries to present this image of their family unit in a healing process, claiming that the girls were just disappointed by the circumstances, that if the boys had been adopted when they were under their roof, they could all share holiday moments like this, and that would have made it just fine. And Martina is like, that's not at all what happened. And also, in order for the boys to have been adopted when they were under this roof, it would have had to been 10 years ago. So that's crazy. And the girls were never on board, didn't want to know anything about the adoption process, and are pissed off that they went through with it, period.
I want to say, let's consider the narrator right now. I don't trust Martina either. I don't trust that Martina isn't rewriting history or putting a slant on it that I would not agree with. Obviously, I don't know, but I don't trust Martina at all.
I don't necessarily either, but the facts seem correct. I think Martina's attitude about it is shitty. For her to say, like, oh, the girls are sabotaging this. No, they're not. They told you they didn't want anything to do with it, and now you're pissed off that they have the exact feelings they expressed they were going to have if you went through with this. So I think Martina's impatient and shitty, but it does sound like the facts are correct, that the girls never wanted this, and Martina's pissed about that too. But you can't force someone to want something. And Martina has no empathy. She needs a for them session with Dr. Jen. She needs to learn, what might this be like for the girls who no longer have. I think we've talked about it before. I remember how special it was to be in my 20s and experience life with my mom. It was so fun. And like, they are not going to be available for that because they have two tiny dependents now. They've taken on this responsibility, and I hope they fulfill that obligation. But it means that they leave a lot of time on the table with their other girls. So
I don't know that Martina, and this could be nature and nurture, growing up in Soviet Czechoslovakia, I think that's probably like a mindset I can't even begin to understand at all. I mean, when she's saying that it's kind of a choice, that to me it feels just devastatingly unsympathetic and closed off. And then I have to think, okay, this is probably a coping skill. I can't see Martina ever going like, I need coping skills. Like she would just, she's her own little Eastern Bloc. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I think that's true. And I think it's a lethal combination of probably growing up with that coping skill of like, you don't have options, you do as the adults say, and then becoming the top of her game and nobody's ever said no to her or done anything but roll out a red carpet when she's made a demand. So I think the combination, she's just like, what is this? This is not on the table, this menu item. No, girls, so she has no tolerance for it whatsoever.
I'm sure being a woman in sports too.
Oh my
and
God.
the era that she was came with a whole host of shit I will never
No.
understand or experience either. So,
And you don't make art about something that you don't have big feelings about. To us, it's just pieces of a tennis court posted on a wall. But to her, that represents something way deeper that has stayed with her into her golden years. So,
she got out of a communist country.
yeah, to be treated like a second-class citizen by the tennis association. Was she the one who didn't she play one of the male players? Did she play McEnroe or someone?
I thought that was Billie Jean King, but I don't know. Dude, I am the last person you should ask about tennis.
Never mind.
I feel terrible.
Let me hang up
terrible.
my tennis conversation. Anyways, this whole scene ends and it made me laugh because Julia says, I hope we can just move forward with whatever is going to be from now on. And as if on cue, the two toddlers in the background go like, ah, like just start screaming, wailing. I was like, that's your life from now on, guys. And that's why your 20-year-old daughters are like not going to be there a bunch because like they don't want to change diapers, goat diapers, boy diapers. They want to like be young adults in the world. So
I can also see being enraged with my mother, in quotations, having the audacity to raise two young children. She doesn't know where I go to school.
yeah, mothering is a performance. To quote Martina, yeah, all of them have made kind of a choice. You kind of made a choice when the two existing daughters in the family said, we're not on board with more kids. You kind of made a choice by getting them anyway. You kind of made a choice by being checked out and not knowing where they went to high school, but asking about their grades on camera because that's what a mom does on TV, Julia.
God, Julia's a whole episode on her own, maybe even two-parter. I'm not kidding. So then we pivot to I don't know, besides the Kiki and Lorest scene, this one also gave me hope and warmed my heart. Again, I never saw this coming in a million years. Never thought I'd be saying that about Jody and Lisa. So they're about to have a romantic dinner at home. And we see Logan and, oh my God, what's her daughter's name again? I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Lisa's daughter's name. That's not okay. Lisa tells us in her confessional that Jody loves her kids and loves family life with them. And he's great with the kids and they love him. And you're right, like what you said earlier. You can't fake it. You can't fake their interaction with him. And she said something that broke my heart and also made me like a little bit nervous for her. I'm really happy that I got a second chance at a family that I'd always dreamed of. I now have the family I always dreamed of, and it still isn't enough. No, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm just saying that there's still parts in me that I have to process and grieve and untangle about not having the family or not having the experience of the
But you haven't had the Lenny level of disappointment in your dream.
absolutely not. No, you're right. You're right. Oh my God, you're right.
But I think she's sort of, and I honestly felt like in that moment, it felt like even if this is impermanent, a night like tonight, I'm so happy I get a chance at this. Remember that scene from a few seasons ago where she was in the kitchen with Lenny's mom, desperately trying to cook like some authentic Hungarian meal or whatever?
Yes.
And it was so tense and awful. And she was trying so hard. And this is what she wanted. I see it now. In the kitchen, effortlessly having someone she loves offer her kid to taste something new, then getting to go buy kids and have a romantic dinner on a veranda. It seemed like if she died that night, she would have achieved a dream and that would have been really meaningful.
There was a lot of ease.
That's the word.
And I think what I was trying to articulate earlier is that, having grown up as a child of an alcoholic, the tapes that play, the messages that I still let play instead of pressing pause or just throwing out the tape altogether, I'm a work in progress. And it seems like she is still in therapy, and I'm sure she's untangling all that stuff too. So I'm happy for her. I'm happy for her. She seems hopeful.
She does. And willing to have it be imperfect and willing to be imperfect. And that just wasn't an option with Lenny.
Of all the people to have the least amount of ego and the most vulnerability and showing their humanity the most, it's Hochstein. What?
Mm-hmm. And then we head outside and Dover sole and potatoes are presented and it makes Lisa feel like something special is about to happen. And I love Jody for just saying, are you referring to the engagement? He's just like, I'm not going to do this coded language. Let's just talk about it. And Lisa says, I know I just got divorced. And that was literally a week ago that they were in Spain when she announced, I'm divorced. But she says she doesn't like the term girlfriend. She thinks she's too old for the term and she wants to be a wife. Later in the scene, she says she doesn't want her divorce to define her. And I realize that's what this is. It's not about being a girlfriend or, it's just about right now she feels like a divorcee and that's awful. That's a horrific feeling for her. And so she just needs something to be different. And I love the arc of this argument because it starts with her defensively with Jody being like, you know what? Fuck you. If you don't want that, you've been with me for 3 years. If you don't know this is what you want, then set me free. And he was like, no, not saying that at all. And I love in Jody's defense, I've dated a couple people who are divorcing or divorced with children. And certainly the one that was divorcing, those are not normal years of dating. You don't really know who you're getting because they are so preoccupied appropriately with ending a marriage and figuring out custody and fighting. And I don't blame Jody for being like, no, this isn't 3 years. This is like, we fell in love and we've had a really interesting time. And now I want to know who you are. And he says, if I commit to an engagement, and I loved this language, and start working toward marriage with you, I want to know I'm not walking into chaos because the last few years have been, as we talked about before, her anger spilled out onto him and it wasn't for him.
The thing that struck me most about what Jody said during this conversation was, why would I be here through all of this for this long if I wasn't here? And it even took my breath away, oh yeah. And then I started my coping skill cynic, the one that has to make myself feel safe, was like, oh, he's just trying to get his profile high and he's dating a housewife and she's pretty prolific and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, what? I don't fucking know, Jody. Maybe he is. I don't look at any of the housewives' social media except for if it pops up on Reddit. But I don't think that he's out there trying to raise his own profile or get something from dating Lisa. I don't think I'm being naive there either. I don't. And so when he said that, I was like, ooh, it kind of took my breath away a little bit. He's right. Those are the things that I forget. Because, and we'll get to this when we talk about the last scene about bad intentions, but sometimes the filter, my operating system, it hears something and it makes that the truth instead of looking at people's actions like, oh yeah, you've been here for 2 years and we're not married and you could easily just like leave, but you didn't. Okay, I can let that sink in and have it mean something.
Yeah. And Jody mentions that we talked about this a little before, that anytime Lisa's had conflict with Lenny or Larsa, Jody is catching strays and she gets angry with him in these really sideways, shitty ways that are, having experienced that as well. It's really hard to live with that on a daily basis, to be criticized and cut down. It's just like, what is actually going on here, dude? Like, it's not about me standing in your way in a doorway. Like, something else is the matter. And this is where Jody says, people go through shit. I can deal with that. What I'm not here for is if you go through shit and you take it out on me. And Lisa said, I'm sorry. And Jody said, can I tell you what would make a difference for me? If I saw you on your own without me pushing you, doing something about it, whether it's books or therapists or whatever. And then he completes this in a really clear way, saying, and then you wouldn't have to wait very long before I gave you a ring. And that's it. And I'm in. He's not being like, we'll see. He's like, I just want to know you're making a good faith effort. And then I'm fucking game, dude. Don't worry. I'm just saying what's going on now is unsustainable. And I just want to make sure that you're in action to get us to a better place for forever.
Lenny isn't even capable of this kind of thinking or being even open to this. Like, Jody sounds wise and like he's been to therapy or I don't know what.
I bet he has.
I was a little unmoored. I'm unmoored by this coupling teaching me things about myself. It is unmooring. And I love it. I love every fucking second. And I'm grateful. Like, I love it.
And it's such a good example of a healthy communication between people who love each other. It's so much I language, which was like the first thing I learned in therapy. Like, stop saying you, stop pointing at them and say like, what would be helpful for me? It's like, I don't know. I love it. And then
Yeah, me
Lisa,
too.
this broke my heart. She just directly says, I'm going to work on it. I'm sorry. I've never been this angry person. This shit has made me angry. This shit has made me different. This is not who I ever wanted to be. I want to get out of it because I'm not going to make this divorce define me. And then she erupts into tears. And it's just so honest. And he runs over and hugs her. And she says, I'm sorry. And he says, you don't have to be sorry, which I thought was also really sweet. And she says, I'm lucky to have you. And then they both say, I love you. And then I was like, when's the wedding? I want to go. And that all it didn't feel like a conversation they had staged for the cameras. In fact, I think it went a really different direction than Lisa was expecting. I thought she thought it would be a cute, flirty, like, hey, I want to get engaged. And he'd be like, not yet. And they'd have Dover sole and potatoes and call it a night. But they got deep into it and they ended by saying, I love you.
Yeah. Tears, intimacy, honesty, vulnerability. This scene had everything. Todd, take note. Alexia, take note. Wow. Anyway, I'm really glad that scene was in there to balance out just the utter wretchedness, not ratchetness, the wretchedness of the rest of the episode.
My God. We land at Adriana's Art Basel party and she's walking up. I can't believe I got fixated on the stairs. You'll see it's in the notes everywhere. I could not get over how many stairs there were. Anyways, we see all of Chris Rivers' art that is hung up. And I was like, who cares? It looks like kind of messy watercolors. I'm not interested. But then Adriana uses some language that I was like, do I need to buy a Chris Rivers painting? She basically proves why she's so successful in the art selling world, because she tells us he has the brush stroke of a great master like Rembrandt, but the creativity of Dali. Then I found myself really looking at the art and I was like, wow, where does that come in? And I guess I can kind of see that. And suddenly I'm almost on the verge of needing to buy a Chris Rivers piece of art. when at first glance I was like, shrug, who gives a shit? Not for me.
I didn't go as far as wanting to buy it, but when she was
No.
explaining the brushstrokes of a Rembrandt and the creativity of a Dali, I was like, oh, that I can understand. I would go take a deeper look.
I did every time they were in frame from then on. I was like, oh, it's fascinating. So she's very effective at her job. And then we have Larsa coming up the stairs in like a cat suit. And she approaches Adriana and brings up, finally. So last week I was like, why did nobody make a big deal about the cake math? And then cut to this whole second half of the episode is about cake math. So great.
Cake math.
Larsa brings up Adriana's birthday cake that had the equation that added up to 59, her age, which she's highly self-conscious about and has been open with the women about not wanting it to be discussed or addressed. And Adriana was pissed. And Larsa seems convinced that it was Julia and seems to really want to hang Julia out to dry. Like every conversation Larsa has, she's like, doesn't it seem like it was Julia? Julia's a real bitch. Julia, right? And I was like, yeah. And then we got the big reveal later and I was like, oh no, I got it so wrong. I got it all wrong. Will you please take Stephanie? Because what the fuck, dude? What was that?
I don't know. I know that she shared in one of the episodes on the after show, because I think Larsa was commenting like, dude, you never show cleavage. Like you're always wearing like business suits. And she's like, I recently had a breast reduction, so you might see me wearing different clothes at some point. We'll see. But yeah, she arrives in an open blazer with a green Muppet nose between her boobs, holding it together. I couldn't stand this outfit. I couldn't stand the fit.
The proportions.
Yeah.
She looked like a little kid in like, I don't know what that was. It
Her
looked like a
clothes were her.
costume. Yes, you're right.
When you have opportunities like that, like, oh my God, I don't understand, but that's me, whatever.
And then she walks up and goes, can I get a compliment on this? And from my couch, I was like, no, you whiffed, dude. And you know it, and we know it, and you look insane. So like you cannot get a compliment. Just like enjoy your night, get drunk, and forget you chose that outfit. Yuck. Stephanie, in a confessional, tells us she's not sure how she's going to handle Marisol tonight because at the end of the last episode, she and Adriana had sat down and sort of talked shit about Marisol and how she's like a master manipulator, puppeteer behind the scenes. And so Stephanie's like, I'm not sure how I'm going to handle her. And then she completely misspeaks and undermines all of her girl boss authority and goes, she really likes to like, and then she makes the movement of a snake and goes, sliver. And it's like, it's slither, honey. But like, okay. And she's so proud of herself and she got it all wrong. And I delighted in it. There's no content in that. It was literally just Stephanie made a gaffe and I was like, this will be recorded. We will make note of this.
Sliver. So then we have Marisol and Alexia in the car and talk about outfits that I loved and I would wear both of these fucking outfits. And they were good in the car and then they got out of the car later and then it got even better. Sequin menswear. Oh my God. Alexia looked stunning. And then Marisol's little 60s Gucci trench. Like she's still so fucking on brand for herself. She wears her clothes. Alexia wears her clothes.
Red patent leather, knee-high heeled boots.
Everything was so great.
She looked cute.
Marisol asks Alexia what she did for Thanksgiving. And Alexia shares that she spent it with her boys, but she did see Todd before and after. And Alexia gets defensive, telling Marisol, don't react like it's a big deal. You know that he and I have been seeing each other. Marisol says she doesn't hear Alexia bring him up, which leads her to be concerned that things are not good. And Alexia says, oh, because you're negative. And Marisol's like, okay. And then in another Alexia confessional, she's telling us that she appreciates her friend's concern, but she's going to do what she wants. And Marisol is resigned to let her friend follow this doomed path. And like, that's all you can do, man. Alexia's going to figure it out or she won't. But at some point, it doesn't matter. All the trips. Julia is such an idiot. We're going to take Alexia on this trip to distract her from Todd. Even Marisol, her bestie, probably on and off filming. They're thick as thieves for years and years now. And like Marisol's not getting through. Alexia is, I think that she does know deep down, maybe not even so deep down, that Todd is not good for her and her family, but she can't quit it. And the chemicals are real strong. Whatever, fine. We all know. We've all been there. Like, I get it. But like, nothing is going to change this. So Marisol's resignation, it's yeah, what are you going to do, man? She's in acceptance.
It's
So,
weirdly an expression of love. Like I loved this scene because to me, this is like the evolution of friendship. Like and I'm sure we all have been on both sides of this conversation where it's like, I'm not done yet. I know this guy sucks. I know it's going to end in catastrophe, but I am not done yet. And I've also been on the side of Marisol going like, hey, you don't talk about him. You keep him a secret. It's kind of weird. Like, what is going on? In my youth, I would have pressed and be like, but don't you see how he's treating you badly? Don't you see how you deserve more? Don't you see blah, blah, blah. And Marisol's just like, right. This is coming to Alexia in its own time. I'm here for her. I'm not going to dig in because she don't want to go there clearly. And I just thought that was like a lovely friendship moment because they got out of the car and it was like, fine. You know, nobody's like, in a huff because they had to talk about Todd. It's just like, all right, this is the status report and more will be revealed. Let's go to this party. Let's walk up 10,000 stairs to go to this party.
I don't know if the after show is just on Peacock or if there's another way to stream it or watch it, but Alexia and Marisol are on the same soundstage together. That's the little pairing is between them. And it's fascinating to watch their friendship. Like I think I shared a couple episodes ago, they can really let shit, like, they don't have to be like, I noticed that blah, blah, blah. They say it the way you want to say it, but you don't want to cause a wreckage. But they are so secure in it that they can handle it and they don't take it personally. I don't know. It's fascinating. I encourage you to watch it just to observe
I will,
their
'cause
friendship.
even this exchange when Alexi goes, oh, because you're negative. And Marisol just goes, okay.
Yeah.
And if someone had said to me like, oh, because you're negative, I'd be like, me? You've known me for how long? And you think I'm dug in and it's like, that's not what this is about. Like Marisol
Right.
had such a handle on the bigger picture that she's like, what Alexi was saying with, oh, because you're negative is like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And Marisol took it as such, and that's great. And like, I'm taking lessons from this of like, right, don't make it about you when it's not about you, Margie. She's just saying, I don't want to talk
Yes.
about this. It's not, if I'm really negative and that's a problem in our friendship, it'll come up again, you know? But for today, she just wants to go to Art Basel and not have to talk about Todd. Fine.
Marisol and Alexia arrive and they all have to walk up the stairs that Margie hates.
So obsessed with them.
And then we join Larsa and Stephanie talking about Cake Gate some more. They go through the suspects, and neither can imagine that it would be Kiki. And that's when I think we were all like, oh, shit. Was it Kiki?
Still at that point, I was not. I was like, well, no, it's definitely not
It's
Kiki.
got to be
I was like,
Julia,
yeah,
right?
Julia, for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been Marisol, but I was like, no, they've convinced me. It's Julia.
Totally. And they both think it was probably Julia who put the equation on the cake. Lisa arrives at that point. She looked adorable getting out of the massive car. Talk about stairs, dude. I hate getting out cars like that. I'm like, I'm going to fall. This is 2 feet off the ground. I'm going to fall out of this car. Alexia tells a story to Marisol and Julia about Lisa spending $1,000 to have someone put up her Christmas tree and another $1,000 to take it down. Julia, of all people, like, $79, Home Depot, DIY. And she got real emphatic about it. Like, fuck you, man.
Also, not to be rude, I could tell. We saw your tree, Julia. It looks like $79.99 from Home Depot, and you did it yourself. And I say this as someone who gets her own Christmas trees and decorates them herself. Like, I know the look, and I bet Lisa's trees looked like $1,000 jobs. Good for her.
If you can, go ahead. I personally get joy from it. If I could have someone come, set the goddamn tree up in the stand,
And
have me watch while they move it a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch until it's perfectly centered and then put the fucking lights on.
Yep.
$1,000, take it. $2,000, take it. Pack the shit up. My God, please. And Lisa's right. I'm helping the economy. It's true. She's given someone a job. And again, I am not excusing everything Lisa does. I'm not just looking through like Lisa lensed glasses. But to talk shit about that was really, are you serious right now? Are you serious? Like this is what you're going to spend your time talking about?
But again, I swear to God, so she just had gotten out of the car having this conversation about Todd with Marisol, and I think she just didn't want Todd to enter the conversation yet. So she's like, you know what's stupid? Here's something. I know you guys think, you probably think I'm stupid, but let me tell you something really stupid. $2,000 for a Christmas season, please. It's like, okay. And I was with Lisa, and I love that she had no shame about it. And I love people who do specialized work. I love that there's someone who sets up trees and puts lights on, and they're great at it. I live for that shit. And
Me too.
I do think, like, whenever I've had disposable income, like, there's nothing that gives me greater joy than hiring someone who's great at what they do to do what they do. And the more niche, the better. I find it utterly thrilling.
Totally. And maybe it's not Lisa's like if it's not in her wheelhouse to decorate, like I love it. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, God damn, the tree, fine. Like setting up my little vignettes in the kitchen, great. But hanging swag over like window treatments and shit, like that is specialized work. And it's gonna take me 2 days.
Yeah, and for a
Right.
gigantic house, if you really want it to go like all out, listen, why are we defending Lisa Hochstein? Who are we? I love us.
I was just going to say, like, we have spent so much time talking about the value of people coming to your home and decorating for Christmas. I love it. I don't give a shit.
Me either.
It's bringing me joy. You know what? Speaking of Christmas, around July, I'm like, oh, what's the countdown? Ooh, 5 months. I have 9 things in my cart from Cost Plus World Market right now. Christmas decorations, ornaments, wreaths. And I'm like, God, can I do this right now? It's barely the middle of September, but I got to have something to look forward to, man. I got to have something to look forward to.
And you've always been, this is not out of character for you. This has always been who you are. You love Christmas, and I love how much you love Christmas. I love how much you love the specific decor that comes and goes, and how fun it is for you to put it up and how hard it is when you have to put it away. Like every year, it's a whole emotional cycle, and I love it.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's why I feel so strongly about this right now. I didn't care for Julia's Christmas decorations. I didn't care for it. Anyway.
They were fine. They were just,
So Stephanie comes up and asks Marisol and Alexia if they know who put the numbers on Adriana's cake. And they're like, oh, yeah, we know. You know, it was Kiki. It was Kiki. Oy, oy, oy.
My jaw hit the floor. I could not have seen that coming. And I can't believe I related to Larsa. I could not have imagined a good explanation for this. When Larsa was screaming at Julia, going like, there is no good way to look at this. There's no good way. There was. I don't think I think she shouldn't have done it, but I don't think she was coming from a horrible place.
I really don't want to think that she was. I felt like if you're saying, I'm sorry for that, this is not what you do. You say 59 and fabulous, or
you leave it a week ago. You just had to apologize in a square in Spain for age shaming her. Don't go near the age. And Adriana had even said to everyone, don't celebrate my birthday. Do not bring attention to this. Like, it's bad enough, the cake and the boys dancing alone. But like, to put numbers on it, Kiki, I think she was trying to turn the knife a little bit in like a cute way, but like, boof.
I'm rationalizing, like, what could have caused this? Did producers like, hey, this would be kind of, I don't know, but it was.
No, because it was so off the mark in every direction. Kiki, we then cut to the car with Kiki and Gertie where she confesses she's the one who put the numbers on the cake. And Gertie was like, what? And then we get a flashback of Kiki telling Marisol and Alexia on the cruise ship about her plan to do this, where she said that Adriana had once mentioned she would want to go back to an age. And Kiki thought the age was 32. We see the flashback where Adriana said 45. So 32 has no significance except awfulness on that cake. And Kiki thought it would be a cute, fun way to broach the age, but she should have just left it alone, bottom line.
Ay, ay, ay. So Kiki and Gertie arrive. Poor Gertie, she almost eats shit in the sidewalk, but said, stuck the landing. And honestly, I don't know if I would have said stuck the landing, but it would have been like, didn't do it, didn't fall. I absolutely would have celebrated that. So Adriana introduces Chris Rivers to Larsa and Julia, and then she introduces Chris Rivers to the crowd and invites them to go basiling and open up their wallets and buy his pieces. Yeah, she's real good. She's a good salesperson. You're absolutely right. So Lisa touches one of Chris Rivers' paintings, which, yeah, you don't do that. You don't touch the art.
But I was going to ask you, is that like you know a lot about ADHD. I wonder, is that like a little impulse control moment where she just was like, whoop, because she knew it right away when Adriana was like, don't touch it. She was like, I know, I'll buy it.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe it's because she's already had the conversation in her head, like, I want to buy this. It's going to be mine, so I'm going to touch it. That I can definitely see because Lord knows the voices in my head are always, always going. So then Lisa, and this was interesting to learn about her too. She tells us that she loves and collects art, and she took all of it from her home with Lenny. She's like, he's trying to get my art. And I left that house. I left with all my art. And that was a source of pride for her. And I was like, oh shit, you're deep. You're deeper than I thought, and she loves art. So again, fascinated by this woman.
Absolutely an element of her personality I never would have anticipated, that she loves and collects art. I don't know if our taste is the same. They showed some of the art from her old house and I was like, not for me.
No.
But it did all there was a taste there. Do you know what I mean? It's not like she was just collecting pieces because they're cool or what everyone else wanted. Like she has an aesthetic, and it was interesting to see. Just that's all.
I agree.
Ugh. We just have this talk with Stephanie and Marisol. It's like so boring. Marisol reports that she spent Thanksgiving with Steve, which is not the same as spending it with her family, but they are not around anymore. And this transitions Stephanie into saying that she doesn't speak with her sisters and she does not also want to be fighting with Marisol. Marisol reminds us that she finds it tacky how Stephanie talks about money all the time. And this just annoyed me. Stephanie was like, I don't talk about money. And thank you, editors, for giving us a flashback sequence of her protecting her Birkin bag, whining about something spilling on her Versace dress, going back and forth with Karama about how rich she smells.
Oh, my God.
And I was reminded of her freaking tagline is, I don't just sell luxury, I am luxury, which is basically saying, like, I don't just have money, I identify as money. It's like all you do is talk about money. The private jet is money. You don't have to talk about dollars to be talking about money. You're gross. You are tacky.
Wealth whispers, ma'am.
And she is screaming.
So Stephanie relays everything to Marisol that she says Alexia told her in the mudroom and that Marisol uses Alexia as her mouthpiece. But Alexia always says, like we see the flashback, she says to Stephanie that they are two independent people who have their own thoughts, but often think along the same lines. And Alexia is just louder about it, which is in a lot of friendships, especially best friends. You're often aligned with things and you can finish each other's sentence about said thing, and you often have shared values. Again, Stephanie, if you had close friendships, this might not seem like such a bizarre thing that you cannot understand. It's always about other people. It's about the sisters. It's about Marisol and Alexia. It's just so fucking annoying. Stephanie accuses Marisol of manipulating her. And Marisol says, dude, I'm not a manipulator. I don't think she is either. She's a lot of things, but manipulative.
Especially not here, because she effortlessly comes totally clean. And she's like, first of all, you need to separate your issues with Alexia from any issues you have with me. And, and Marisol's right. Stephanie, I had forgotten this, but Stephanie came at Alexia about Todd from the beginning, saying, when God throws out the trash, you don't take it out. So she called him trash. And then she said he's crazy because he's made her think that certain behaviors are normal when they're not. And Marisol's right, saying those issues with Alexia are independent of any with me. And then we get to like the meat of this, which was actually productive and sweet and good. Stephanie just says, I was hurt. And Marisol says, I knew not going on the private jet might hurt you, and I want to work things out with you so I can someday ride your plane and poop on it. And Stephanie says, we could be great friends if Marisol will be more straightforward with her instead of going through Alexia. And Marisol just says, no problem. And I believe her.
This is another one of Marisol's strengths. She's just like, there's no way for me to end this conversation. It's not even like, we'll see.
It is what it is. It's like, fine. You are who you are.
Yes. You need me. This is going to be important to you that I agree to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine.
And again, hilarious that Stephanie's like, my sisters are so sensitive. They have so many needs. And she's like, okay.
This to me is one of Marisol's assets if you're her friend. Marisol says, I like Stephanie. She reminds me of Alexia. They both need to get shit off their chests, be heard, and then they can move on. I absolutely am one of those people that needs to get stuff off my chest, be heard, and then I can move on.
And it's true. That happened in real time. Stephanie said what she wanted. Marisol said no problem, and they were done. And they went back into the party.
And then Stephanie says she's not sure she totally trusts Marisol yet, but she's willing to move forward with the friendship. And that's another thing we've seen Stephanie do. Like, she considers all these women to be close friends. She said that in her confessionals and to their faces throughout this season. And I'm like, you just met them. And you don't talk to your sisters, and you've already said you don't have other friends. Lady, I urge you to get curious about what is going on with you. Anyway, and a callback to like talking about the money all the time being tacky, Stephanie says, there's nothing tacky about Stephanie's show, Jay. Bruh, you're so tacky.
There's nothing not tacky.
I wonder if she's like one of the tackiest housewives of all time.
Which is fine. It makes her a great housewife, but like hilarious that she doesn't think her clothes, her attitude, her money talk, like everything about her is tacky.
And I think she's really insecure to say this stuff. Again, if you have to like scream it from the mountaintops, the fact that she doesn't see that, I don't understand it at all. It's fascinating and not in a good way.
In writing, they say show, don't tell, you know, so you don't have a lawyer come in and go like, I'm an excellent lawyer. I win all my cases. Like, you give them behaviors that indicate confidence or show capability. But Stephanie's like, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, I won't believe you until I have lots of experience of you like that. And I have yet to have 1 minute of experience that proves that you are not tacky. So show, don't tell, honey.
This is where Julia sees Lisa and Larsa embracing and like kind of
Everyone's
seeming
drunk
like
and-
old
yeah.
times. Yeah, everyone's getting along. This makes her yearn for her friendship with Adriana the way it used to be. So they're trying to reconcile, and then Cake Gate comes back into the conversation. At this point, Adriana has learned that it was Kiki, and Adriana's mad at Julia for defending Kiki and saying, surely she did not have bad intentions putting the number on the cake. Lars is all, bullshit, so she shuts that down. And then Julia tries another tactic, saying Adriana herself has made age comments she surely regrets about Marisol's old knees. And she absolutely did. And we can see the flashback to that terrible, terrible yacht trip.
It's my favorite scene of the
Oh
season
my God.
where Adriana goes, fuck off, you old whore. Go get plastic surgery on your wrinkled knees because they need it. Just drunk and stupid and amazing. God, I loved it. I want that to be my ringtone. It's like, so fuck off, you old whore.
God, Margie, I don't know about that.
I mean, I won't, but like, it's just the way she said it is so funny. It's just the perfect amount of drunk and the most ineffective slam. And like, it's so good.
Adriana says that her behavior on the yacht was different and it was okay. Like,
because they go way back. It's full hip. It's a 100% Ramona Ramirez full hip moment.
and then the rest of this episode made me really have to re-examine Adriana. Like, she's, phew.
It was disastrous in my opinion. And I felt so bad for Carol getting dragged into that. Like, the whole thing was just gross.
It was disgusting. It was disgusting. Adriana tells Julia, this is why we're not friends anymore, because you always defend my enemies. And Julia says, they're not friends because you push me away and you're negative and we don't have fun anymore. And it's like, dude, no one wins. No one's winning. What do you say?
Team nobody.
Team nobody. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Julia in her confessional says, now I see, after all these years, what everyone warned me about of Adriana. And then we see her least great at just these terrible, awful hits of Adriana's. And Julia says that she had Adriana's back even when it cost her other friendships.
Yeah, and this flashback sequence included the clip that has never left me, even when I've enjoyed Adriana. Like, this is always haunting me in the back of my head. That sequence, in the sequence, they show the clip of Adriana saying to Alexia, accidents have consequences, as you know, with Frankie. And just for context, this is Adriana comparing a twisted ankle to Frankie's life-altering traumatic brain injury. So, like, she's so out of her fucking mind. And it's so funny because this whole season, she hasn't been there. But in the end of this episode, she's right back in that place where you're so out of line, you're so righteous, and you're so wrong, and everyone can see it. And I think even she can sense it, but she's so dug in, she just won't let go. Her friend is uncomfortable, everyone is grossed out, and she just won't relent. It's awful. It's like it's a sickness.
It really is. I forgot about that because I remember thinking, like, here's a reason why Adriana rubs me the wrong way. And I can't remember what it is. I can't remember. And I was like, oh my God.
That moment was atrocious. And that was shortly after, like, nobody knew if Frankie was going to be okay in the long run at that. Like, it was so out of line.
It was so out of line. You know, it reminded me of that scene where it was the final nail on the coffin for me with Dorinda Medley, was when she made the turkey baster comment to Tinsley and then raises her hand to do a high five with Luann. Like, did you see that one? And I was like, you're so foul that you are irredeemable to me. I can't conceive of what it would take for me to actually think that you are a good person ever again. And Adriana is so fucking complicated. Like complicated feels like too positive of a way to describe her after what we've seen and the way the end of this episode, unfolds. You're saying the ugliest, most hateful things you can possibly say. You're going for the sorest of the sore spots.
And based on nothing in reality in both situations. That Frankie comment was not based in any kind of comparable reality. And what she did to Kiki when Kiki says, I did not say that about you. And yet she just digs in and bears down and won't let up. It's like, this is crazy. And Kiki even said, I did not say that on or off camera. I do not believe that to be true about you. What the fuck?
Adriana makes Carol, who is Black, an old dear friend and longtime stylist. Adriana asks Carol to declare that Adriana is not a racist for saying ratchet versus wretched. And I had really thought that Adriana had let go of that story she was trying to convince herself and other people that she was actually saying wretched. Like, bitch, you were saying ratchet. Come on, man. Come on, multi-degree holder.
Kiki just declares nobody is racist. And I was like, there's a lot of microaggression. So maybe, as we learned in harassment training at various networks, like unconscious bias is like, you don't have to be like an overt, I hate this category of human beings person to have some unconscious bias that makes it okay for you to throw water in a woman's face at a wedding reception. Like, you wouldn't do that to everyone. You wouldn't if you really think about it. But you found a place in you that let you have that be permissible to do to Gertie. So that might be an example of unconscious bias. If not, if it's not racism, like something could be looked at there, in my opinion. And same with Adriana's ratchet comment.
Exactly.
I don't think you went into it trying to slam a person of color at the table, but I think you could listen to Kiki and the rest of the table and how they reacted and be like, ooh, that word probably has more of a sting than I was aware of, and I could just stand to never touch it again. That's a third rail.
I think she knew it had that sting.
Ugh, gross. Gross.
So at this point, Kiki leaves. Julia tries to find her, but she's slipped away in an Amazon delivery truck.
That's what it looked like. The motion of her didn't match. Like, there was audio over it where she was like, can you get me out of here? Can you please just get me out of here? It didn't match. So I was like, I hope she didn't just get in like a random Amazon van and slip away into the night. But maybe she did. That's what it looked like. I wouldn't put it past Kiki. I feel like she'd be okay with that. She'd want to get out so bad.
And Larsa points out that this is not a good look for Adriana. She's doing too much to convince everyone that she's not a racist. Nobody ever said she was. I think it's because she knew. She knows. She knows what she did.
The lady doth protest too much. At your Art Basel party, you're going to bring this woman who you've given a script to lay out on Kiki. Like, this is it's so planned and orchestrated. I think that's where I was like, oh, nothing was innocent. Because if you're this intent on making a scene for the cameras, yeah, this was really planned and rehearsed, and it was gross, and I hated it.
So Adriana is now claiming that I don't care about the cake. I only care about being called racist, which she wasn't called by anybody except for me and the other viewers. She's just insisting that she meant miserable when she used the word wretched.
She spells it out. She goes, I use the word WRETCHZ. And I listened to it like 20 times to be like, what? So like, if you can't even get that part of your argument right, like, you don't have no argument, lady.
And then she tries to convince us and herself that the word got lost in translation because she speaks 5 languages and British English. No,
And it's so unfocused. It's like, what if you really had one problem, that would have been the focus all along. But we've talked about the cake and we've talked about the word and we've talked about how many languages you speak in British English. It's just like, this is insane. And it all just points to like conscious guilt.
Defending herself for her life.
Yeah.
So Adriana's pissed that Julia went after Kiki, and she's totally paranoid that Kiki is trying to get her canceled. That's the only reason why she gives a flying fuck about this. And everyone else is in on it. So paranoia, feeling ganged up on, just like she's out of her mind at this point.
She is.
She's saying that Carol is her only ally. Holy shit.
Carol, who we've never met, like, this whole thing is just like, and poor Carol, like, you see her start to like go dead inside as this whole thing goes on. Like, she starts with some energy and then by the end, she's just like, yes, no, yes. Like, oh, just heartbreaking. I hated it. It was so uncomfortable.
At some point in this melee, Julia, I think she says in a confessional, Adriana is thinking that we're all talking to her, that we think that she had bad intentions, and we're not. This last week that I had is one of the last weeks on record that I can think of, like where I had multiple days in a row where I was just like in such a state of anxiety and abject terror that I physically couldn't move. So everything that Josh was saying to me, it had bad intent. That's how it was being filtered. And at some point he looked at me, he's like, Ramona, when I'm talking to you, basically he was saying, you need to assume good intent. I am not criticizing you. Nothing I'm doing is a judgment of you. But I was in so much self-hatred. I was in so much anxiety. I was in so much fear. Like, why wouldn't you be proving to me what's real right now? Because when I'm in anxiety and I'm catatonic, I go into a shame spiral because I can't get myself out. And that's when I should be going like, fuck, welcome. I'm in anxiety. Come on, anxiety. What are you going to do? You're going to sweep out my house? How can I help you? Can I give you a broom? But instead, it's like, I still turn on myself and it's so easy. I don't want to say I've hit rock bottom. I've done this too many times to like make proclamations, you know what I mean? But it's getting more and more uncomfortable. It's getting more and more apparent, like this needs your attention so badly. When you have a pounding headache and you take some ibuprofen, I'm looking for my mental and spiritual ibuprofen to help me stop this because I'm suffering at my own hand when I do this. So that was just really striking to me that she brought up the intentions. And, if I'm projecting onto Adriana, it's because she's feeling shame too. She's so ashamed of herself.
Without a doubt, the floundering, the flailing of like trying to find a defense for indefensible behavior is just like, it's sad.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel like it just made me feel sad for everybody. And I'm so proud of Kiki for just turning on a heel and leaving. The minute Adriana was like, you called me racist, and she was like, I did not. And she's like, you did, and blah, blah, blah. And Kiki was like, bye, I'm done. If you're not going to acknowledge facts, then there's nothing for me to do here. Sad.
Good for Kiki for taking care of herself.
Truly.
She didn't throw any bombs and then leave. Like, she is just like, oh my God, no one's listening to me. This is not a safe space. I'm going to leave. Mm-hmm. By any means necessary, even if it's via an Amazon delivery truck.
Oh my God. That's so crazy.
Friend, what else did you watch this week?
I watched the Below Deck finale, which was nothing of great note. And then I did watch the first episode of Salt Lake City, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was nuts. Uh-oh. What? You hated it?
I hated it. I hated it. I hated it.
It was
so
too
fucking
produced
much.
for you. Yeah.
Okay. Here's why. Oh, do you have any other shows? Because this will segue into. Okay. So I've been comfort watching old episodes of RHOM. All these people are absolutely terrible, but it still wasn't produced enough like it is now. So these are seasons that were shot 10, 11 years ago. So I watched Salt Lake City and I was so excited for it to come back. Oh my God, I was angry. Like, I hated it so much that I was like, I don't even know if I want to watch this fucking season. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I thought it was so lame. It was so lame that I was like, shit, I could have skipped that. I just hated it.
We could have skipped it. And I think the editors knew that, but it was just sort of a primer to remind you of like how dumb this franchise is. Like, again, they went like camping, which I did think was like hilarious that there was like, it's so like the anti-Housewives, like coming off of watching Miami where they're, at Art Basel having just been in Spain. And now we drop into like a camping trip with like no buns or condiments. And, Molly McMormon, the ghost of Molly McMormon or whatever the fuck. I think it's all stupid, but I think it was just a primer. And Lisa Barlow comes in next episode, and I think everything shit is going to explode. And some of the scenes in preview of Mary talking about like the real addiction journey that her son is on, which is not linear. He went to rehab and he is not done with his substance yet. I'll be really curious to see how she manages that and how her friends are able to tolerate that. And I don't know, but you don't look interested, not so much.
I don't know. Like, I'm over Angie K's shtick. Barlow is a fucking monster. Like, when I remember when I first started watching this franchise, I was like, oh, she's my favorite.
She was baby gorgeous. She was great.
I need to put down rationality, and I need to remember what I'm doing. Housewives are going to housewife. I don't like how produced the current iteration is.
But it's the first episode. Every first episode is everyone trying to present who they want to be this season. And I actually did appreciate Whitney for just being like, I failed. I broke my family. We have no money. I made a huge swing and I failed. There was value in that of like, I don't know, just telling the truth instead of getting defensive like Lisa does. You know, we're going to see a
Oh my
real
God.
juxtaposition of what it's like to own a mistake and ride out the shame and humiliation as opposed to try to pretend it didn't happen and fend it off and like, I don't know, all that stuff. So
It's like Brittany,
like, and she's crazy.
she's trying so hard to be a meme, and it's just so awful. And, like when Luann would bring up like, class with the Countess and money can't buy you class. And also you're just like, you are so trashy. What are you fucking talking about? So that's really all I watched. I haven't watched last week's Orange County.
Me neither.
So I watched Salt Lake City, and then everything else was just classic Roni. And then obviously Miami.
I would just say like the first episode it's the first pancake. It just looks like shit and it's not necessarily a promise of what's to come. So I agree with you. It was like totally overproduced. Heather Gay is like so much right now. I'm just like, can you please dial it the fuck back? Like I can't with you. They get fatigued as the season goes on, and then the reality starts to come into play. But they're all rested and ready to go for episode 1 and giving it their best.
I don't watch Housewives to see them cramped on a Camping World sponsored RV without fucking condiments and bad bagels. And then even the surroundings they're in, it's like it's winter and it's just desolate and mud and dirty snow. I'm like, this is not even visually. This is just, what are you doing?
Yeah. But I sort of like it because it sets Salt Lake City apart as the redheaded stepchild of the Housewives. And I kind of love it. She'll never be Miami or Beverly Hills. She'll just never be that. She's in the mountains of Utah and she's her own beast. So I got a kick out of it. Except for the end of it. I was like, I do not need all of this Blair Witch Project from 25 years ago. Not funny. Yeah.
And then, like, bringing up, if you weren't pure, she was going to come get you. I'm like, oh my God.
And also, we get it. We've had years of this now. Like, you guys don't need to remind us what Mormonism is. We've watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Like, we're well versed in this shit. Please don't Molly McMormon us to death because, like, it's boring now. We just want to see you people live.
There was like someone when they were at Beauty Lab and Laser, like holding their swig cup. And I was like, oh, okay.
What's that?
The swig, remember swig is like their version of Starbucks.
Oh, is that the
one
soda
of the fucking
thing?
loopholes? Yeah, I can drink caffeinated fucking soda. God forbid I have a latte. Oh my God, blow me. So all the Mormon wives had swig, and swig was another character. Well, so someone's holding the swig, and I was all, I know what you're doing, dude. I know what you're doing. We've never seen a swig big gulp before. This is 6 seasons now. Like, shut up. Although I was very intrigued by all the moon boots, and I was like, God, do I want a moon boot? Do I just want a moon boot?
They got you.
I don't need a fucking moon boot. But I do like to have a snow outfit for when I need one, Anyway, who gives a shit, man? What was your antidepressant this week, Margie?
My antidepressant was I taught a writing workshop earlier this week, and it was just sort of like a mock writer's room just to like give people the experience of what it's like to be in a room and language associated with that space and all that stuff. And I got this lovely email from one of the students. Basically, she just said she felt like optimistic and inspired and she had fun. And in a week that's been a little bit treacherous news-wise, it brought me so much joy to be like, oh, I felt like I was of service for those 3 hours. Like I offered a space where there was information and a reprieve from what's going on in the outside world, and someone came out of it feeling optimistic and inspired. Like that made me feel optimistic and inspired. That for sure had an antidepressant effect on my week. So I was super grateful she reached out, and so glad I had the opportunity to teach that class. I really enjoyed it too. It was like really fun and energizing for me as well. So I'm glad it wasn't just one-sided. It was
That
great.
is such a valuable class. I mean, to know what the lingo is, so you're not walking in like, I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know.
And they were great too. They were all really willing to just like go for it, because like it takes a lot of courage to like pitch jokes, because it's a batting average. A lot of them are bad, and you have to like be brave to do that in front of strangers and with a script on the screen and stuff. And they were all just willing to go all in, and they were terrific. And I had a great time. It was
I
a lot of
bet
fun.
they're so grateful that they get to learn this from you specifically. So I love that.
Yeah. And how about you? What was your antidepressant
Oh man, I'm
in a
trying to
challenging week?
figure some
Yeah.
out. Again, this was the worst one on record for a lot of reasons. I will say that I finally talked to a nurse at my surgeon's office about the current status of my recovery from gallbladder surgery, because as I've cried to you on the phone many times in the last 2 weeks, I don't recognize myself from like where the wire of my bra goes to like my lower abdomen. I have made peace with my C-section scar that is now fairly faint. I've also had abnormal cells removed from my breast, and that scar is faint. I look botched, and I'm not just saying that. I know how my body looks, and this is not it. And I was like, what is happening? And she's like, listen, it could take 6 months to maybe a year for the swelling to go down. And my surgeon said this at my checkup. Well, you're the only one that notices. Yeah, I am the only one that notices. Yes, is that not enough?
And as I said
Fuck
to you, you're the
you.
only one who has to live in your body every day. So like
Exactly.
if you're the only
Exactly.
one who notices, that's a huge deal.
Exactly, it is. And as someone that has had a fraught relationship with my whole body, the majority of my conscious life, I mean, like, I'm telling you, like from 3 years old until now, it's causing me a lot of stress. And I'm sure I'm projecting even more stress and more meaning on it, because I cannot control the nightmare that's going on outside of our homes. Like in our current timeline, I'm petrified and I feel very unsafe. I feel scared all the time. I need to put my phone down and not doom scroll. Anyway, so talking to the nurse and having her, I was like, thank you for finally just telling me the truth, because everyone else is like, eh. And I'm like, no, my fucking belly button looks like the Tesla logo right now. Like, what is
Which is unacceptable on so many
unacceptable on
levels all of a
so many
sudden.
levels, right? So talking to that nurse helped. Josh and I had a really deep conversation on Friday. Like we sat down to like turn on Salt Lake City and Orange County, and we ended up talking until midnight, and that was nice. And then I'm just going to say, the anxiety loop I was in was so intense that I could not see a way out. I couldn't take a full breath. At one point last week, got in the shower, sat on the floor, and just cried and let the water just flow over me. That didn't really help. I took a gummy on Thursday night, and it stopped the fucking loop. And it was like I did a hard factory reset. And Friday, I finally felt like, I'm not saying I was 100% my buoyant self, but I was more myself than I had been in 7 to 9 days. And that's my experience with taking Xanax as well. When I'm really in just like fight or fucking flight, it is a wall. It's an impenetrable wall of fear. I take a Xanax and it's a hard reset. I don't know why I chose the cannabis gummy over the Xanax, but my point is that I still have to question my judgment around cannabis use. And then I have to remind myself, like, I'm looking at this from a very colonialist lens. And that's not
Or even
okay.
just like a 90s lens,
You know?
when
Yeah,
it was
you're
like
right.
illegal and for stoners. It's changed a lot since then.
And it served me as medicine. It was fucking medicinal. except for it was getting rid of the pain and angst in my mind, instead of like a pain in my joint or another physical manifestation that you might use cannabis to alleviate the pain for. That is my point. So cannabis, a nurse, a deep conversation with my husband, and then I also volunteered at my kids' picture day and just helping kindergartners through fourth graders get ready to have their picture taken, combing hair, adjusting necklaces, just seeing them be innocent.
Cute.
It just was like, oh my God. So that too. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just listening to you talk, like I'm just hearing you say that and thinking about this experience I had with the writing workshop and stuff, like without putting blinders on, I do think, I'm just saying this for myself, like it's about what I focus on. Like if I focus on existential disaster, currently my nervous system is not handling that well. And hearing you talk about picture day, it's so tangible. It's so important to those kids to have someone tending to them. Larsa Pippin's daughter would be delighted to have some woman in her circle caring for her while her mom is in Miami accepting a gummy bear from Whizbee or whatever the fuck. I don't know. There's ways that like have actual meaning and make other people feel safe. And I feel safe in those moments. And like, I just am saying this out loud to kind of give myself the assignment for the week to like imperfectly consider shifting the balance of my week toward that stuff as opposed to what's, catching my attention on my phone.
Oh my God.
That did not serve
Me
me well
either.
this week. I literally think I'm like getting sick, physically sick because of it. I'm so run down. I have a sore throat and a headache and I can't sleep. And like, I don't think this is not related. So I'm just saying that,
I agree.
putting words on it. So I make that commitment to you, to our podcast friends. I'm just going to experiment with it. It doesn't have to be perfect and I might fail completely. I don't fucking know. But I would like to not do a repeat of this week because it did not serve me great.
Agreed.
Except for those moments when I got to do things I loved and people received that well. That seems like the path for me to follow. Isn't it hilarious that I have to like say that out loud to work through that? So funny.
Great. I'm glad. Whatever it takes. You
Yeah.
know. Also, you and I
Yeah.
were on the phone for I don't know how long, over an hour the other day, and that really helped too.
Same. Yeah. Just it's the Marisol thing of like, you're such a great person just to like see me and hear me and move on. Some of what I like whined to you about was just like, I just need someone to like bear witness to this moment in time. And then that moment in time passed. And that's great.
Yep. 100%. Oh, and now I get to go upstairs and repair with my family that I was a, the fucking thunderstorm of anger before I came down to my booth.
Listen, it's that Lisa thing of like, I don't want to be this person and I'm taking actions to chip away at it. But just because I make the decision that I don't want to be this person doesn't turn the ship around overnight. It's a whole long, slow process and lots of amends along the way. There's just no way around
There's
it.
not. No,
For
there's
me.
not. Everyone, thank you so much for listening and hang in there. I don't know what else to say. Hang in there. I got to hang in there too. Y'all got to just hang in there right now.
Yeah, and take care of yourself and like these moments where you can take care of others in your physical immediate circle seem to be real helpful. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
Friend, I love you.
I love you too, and we'll talk next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Ramona and Margie are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.